The dining room of the Carter household held a fragile silence that Sunday evening. Outside, autumn leaves danced across their manicured Springfield lawn, but inside, 17-year-old Ethan Michael Carter couldn't hear anything except his own thundering heartbeat. The family dinner plates had been cleared, but Ethan knew the heaviest part of the evening still remained. His twin sister Madison sat across from him, her expression unreadable as their parents settled into their usual positions. "I have something to tell you," Ethan said, his voice cracking despite weeks of rehearsal. The words hung in the air, suspended in the warm glow of their dining room chandelier. "I'm gay." The silence that followed seemed to stretch into eternity. Patricia Carter's hand flew to her mouth, tears immediately welling in her eyes. Robert Carter's face transformed from confusion to understanding to rage in mere seconds. Madison simply froze, her eyes wide with shock. "This is not happening in my house," Robert finally said, his voice dangerously low. He reached for the family Bible that always sat on the sideboard. Leviticus clearly states, "We failed," Patricia interrupted, her voice hollow. "Where did we go wrong as parents?" Ethan had prepared himself for rejection, but the reality cut deeper than he'd imagined. Madison, his twin, his other half since before birth, said nothing. Her silence was perhaps the most painful betrayal of all. The following 6 months transformed the Carter household into an emotional battleground. Ethan found himself exiled from family activities, forbidden from inviting friends over. While Madison ascended to the position of golden child, her academic achievements, her volunteer work, her perfect Methodist daughter persona, all were showcased with renewed vigor. Ethan became the family shadow, present but deliberately unseen. During this time, Ethan found unexpected solace in his classmate Alex, whose gentle understanding blossomed into Ethan's first relationship. Their connection remained hidden, stolen moments between classes, carefully deleted text messages, and the constant fear of discovery. "You need guidance," Robert announced one evening, pushing a church pamphlet across the dinner table. "Pastor Williams runs a special program for people struggling with your confusion." The conversion therapy sessions that followed were a psychological nightmare. Each week, Ethan sat in Pastor Williams' office, enduring scriptures wielded like weapons, being told his authentic self was a sin requiring distraction. When college acceptance letters arrived that spring, they spread across the coffee table like a final judgment. Northwestern University had accepted both Carter twins into their prestigious pre-med program, a shared dream since childhood. "We'll pay for Madison," Roberts announced, his arm proudly around his daughter's shoulders. "You're on your own. Ethan, maybe struggling will help you. Reconsider your choices." Madison shifted uncomfortably, but accepted her privilege without protest. In that moment, staring at identical acceptance letters with wildly different futures attached, Ethan realized the truth. This wasn't just parental favoritism. This was punishment for being gay. The understanding crystallized within him. Some rejections aren't just painful. They're catalysts for transformation. Sometimes family must be chosen, not simply born into. If you've ever faced rejection for being your authentic self, Ethan's journey will resonate deeply. Follow Heart Stories for more powerful narratives of courage, resilience, and finding family in unexpected places. The contrast between Madison and Ethan's college arrivals couldn't have been more striking. Madison settled into a spacious luxury dormitory at Northwestern with their parents' beaming assistance. Her Delta Gamma sorority bid already secured. Her Instagram showcased perfectly arranged room decor, proud parents flanking her in orientation photos, and a stream of welcome packages arriving weekly. Meanwhile, Ethan arrived alone, dragging a secondhand suitcase into a cramped shared dorm, the financial reality of his situation immediately apparent. His first week was spent navigating financial aid offices, securing emergency student loans, and applying for every campus job available. The campus dining hall became Ethan's workplace and financial lifeline. Early morning shifts before classes and late evenings afterward left little time for the traditional freshman experience Madison documented so extensively online. Yet within this exhausting routine, Ethan discovered an unexpected path to connection. A rainbow flag sticker on a coworker's water bottle led to an invitation to the Northwestern Rainbow Alliance meeting, where Ethan found himself tentatively stepping through the door of the campus LGBTQ+ center. The room buzzed with animated conversation. Colorful posters adorning the walls, celebrating identities Ethan had been taught to hide. Riley, a trans woman studying computer science, immediately welcomed him with genuine warmth. Marcus, a black gay senior preparing for medical school interviews, offered practical advice about navigating pre-med requirements while working. Sarah, the lesbian resident assistant who coordinated Alliance events, ensured Ethan knew about every available resource. Their acceptance required no explanation, no apology for his existence. For the first time, Ethan experienced belonging without conditions. It was at a Rainbow Alliance study night that Ethan met Alex Rivera, a second-year law student whose quiet confidence and warm smile immediately drew Ethan's attention. Their connection began over shared textbooks and coffee, evolving into late-night conversations about family, faith, and finding oneself. Alex understood rejection. His Catholic family in Arizona had struggled with his coming out years earlier. Unlike Ethan's family, however, they had eventually chosen love over doctrine. Alex became Ethan's emotional anchor, the person who saw beyond his circumstances to his potential. "You're not defined by their rejection," Alex told Ethan one evening as they walked along Lake Michigan's shore. "Their inability to love you completely is their limitation, not yours." The work-study grind that dominated Ethan's life developed an unexpected benefit: academic excellence born of necessity. With no financial safety net, every scholarship opportunity became crucial. His limited free time forced efficient study habits. Library assistant shifts provided quiet hours surrounded by resources. The lab research position he secured through relentless persistence offered valuable experience for his medical school applications. While Madison's social media showcased sorority formals and weekend getaways, Ethan's quiet achievements accumulated Dean's List recognition, a published research paper as an undergraduate assistant, and an invitation to join Phi Beta Kappa. The stark inequality between the twins' experiences bothered Ethan less than the deception that enabled it. His parents had always claimed financial limitations when discussing college expenses, yet Madison's lifestyle suggested otherwise. The inconsistency nagged at him until one evening when Alex, now skilled in financial law, suggested investigating further. "Something doesn't add up," Alex said, spreading financial aid forms across his apartment table. "Your parents' stated income doesn't match Madison's expenditures. There must be another source." Working methodically through publicly available records, Alex helped Ethan discover the existence of educational trusts established by their grandparents years earlier. Further investigation revealed the truth: a substantial 529 college savings plan totaling $120,000 had been established for both twins equally. After Ethan's coming out, his parents had quietly redirected his portion to Madison, violating the trust's explicit provisions. "This isn't just unfair," Alex explained, highlighting key clauses in the documentation. "It's fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. They were legally obligated to use these funds for your education." The discovery transformed Ethan's understanding of his family's rejection. This wasn't merely emotional abandonment, it was calculated financial discrimination based solely on his sexual orientation. The revelation crystallized a painful truth: some families weaponize resources to control their children's identities. Yet it also offered something: unexpected legal recourse and the possibility of reclaiming what was rightfully his. In the glow of this discovery, Ethan realized that the family he'd been building around himself, friends who celebrated rather than tolerated him, mentors who recognized his potential, and Alex, whose love came without conditions, had given him the strength to face this truth. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is refusing to accept unjust treatment, even from those we've been taught to obey. The journey toward justice often begins not with anger, but with the simple recognition that we deserve better. The evidence of financial deception lay spread across Madison's dormitory desk: trust documents, bank statements, and emails revealing the deliberate redirection of Ethan's inheritance. Madison's face drained of color as she absorbed each damning detail. The comfortable collegiate existence she'd enjoyed suddenly appeared built on theft rather than parental generosity. "I knew something was wrong," Madison whispered, hands trembling as she traced the financial trail. "I sensed the inconsistencies in their explanations, but I was too comfortable to question them." Her admission hung between the twins, both acknowledgement and indictment. The revelation created a moral crossroads for Madison: continue benefiting from discrimination or stand with her brother against their parents' betrayal. For Ethan, watching his sister's internal struggle proved almost as painful as the original rejection. The person who'd once shared his heartbeat now faced the consequences of her silent complicity. "This isn't just about money," Ethan explained gently. "It's about recognizing discrimination dressed as protection. They stole my future because of who I am." Madison's decision crystallized slowly. Then all at once, "I'm with you," she finally said, her voice gaining conviction. "Whatever happens next, I choose what's right over what's comfortable." The confrontation with their parents unfolded in the Carter family living room during spring break. What Robert and Patricia had envisioned as Madison's triumphant homecoming instead became an unexpected tribunal. Madison presented the financial evidence with methodical precision, her pre-med training evident in her clinical dissection of their deception. "You redirected Ethan's trust fund to me after he came out," Madison stated, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. "That wasn't your money to reallocate. The trust specified equal distribution." Robert Carter's face hardened as his justifications emerged wrapped in religious conviction. "We won't fund sinful lifestyle choices. We're protecting you from his influence." Patricia added tearfully, "Everything we've done has been out of love." "This isn't love," Madison countered. "It's control disguised as concern." The confrontation escalated as Robert issued an ultimatum to Madison: "Choose him or choose us." The silence that followed seemed to echo through the house, testing familial bonds against moral clarity. Madison's response came without hesitation. "I choose what's right." She gathered her belongings that night, moving into a small off-campus apartment with her twin, leaving behind the comfort purchased with stolen inheritance. The legal battle began quietly at first. Alex connected Ethan with Lambda legal attorneys specializing in LGBTQ+ discrimination cases. Their assessment was unequivocal. The parents' actions constituted fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and discrimination based on sexual orientation. The evidence, financial records, witness statements, and discriminatory communications built an ironclad case. News of the lawsuit rippled through Springfield's Methodist community, creating unexpected divisions. Some congregation members rallied behind the Carter parents, defending their religious freedom. Others expressed shock at the manipulation of trust funds meant for both children's education. The case forced many to confront the gap between professed Christian values and actual treatment of LGBTQ+ community members. Patricia's sister Elizabeth emerged as an unexpected ally, revealing a family secret long buried. "My brother, your Uncle Tommy, was gay," she told Ethan during a tearful phone call. "He committed suicide after our family rejected him. I won't watch this history repeat itself." Robert Carter found himself increasingly isolated as colleagues questioned his actions. The business connections that had sustained his accounting practice began withdrawing, uncomfortable with the publicity surrounding his discriminatory behavior. His certainty wavered as he faced professional consequences for personal prejudice. The strain took its toll on Ethan as well. The combination of academic pressure, financial insecurity, and family estrangement culminated in a breakdown during final exams. Alex found him in their apartment, surrounded by scattered textbooks, contemplating whether the fight was worth the emotional cost. "You're not just fighting for yourself," Alex reminded him, holding Ethan through his tears. "You're fighting for every LGBTQ+ kid facing the same discrimination. Your courage today creates protection for someone else tomorrow." The Rainbow Alliance rallied around Ethan, organizing study sessions, meal deliveries, and emotional support. Their chosen family demonstrated the community's capacity to provide what biological families sometimes couldn't: unconditional acceptance and practical care during crisis. Meanwhile, the Carter parents faced their own spiritual crisis. Their pastor, more progressive than they'd realize, challenged Robert's selective biblical interpretation. Christ's primary command was love, he reminded them during counseling. Not judgment, not control, love. Patricia found herself haunted by memories of her brother Tommy, seeing parallels between his rejection and Ethan's. The weight of generational trauma pressed upon her as she recognized her role in perpetuating the same pain that had claimed her brother's life. The marriage strained under this revelation, as Patricia began questioning the righteousness they'd claimed while stealing their son's future. Madison's transformation continued as she transferred from her sorority to a smaller residence hall near Ethan's apartment. She became an outspoken LGBTQ+ ally on campus, using her pre-med platform to advocate for healthcare equity. The twin bond, damaged but not destroyed by their parents' manipulation, slowly rebuilt through late-night study sessions and shared meals. Madison contributed her savings toward Ethan's legal expenses, a tangible acknowledgement of the imbalance their parents had created. When justice finally arrived, it came not with vengeance but with accountability, a settlement returning Ethan's rightful $120,000 plus damages, interest, and legal fees. The court-mandated public apology forced the Carters to acknowledge their wrongdoing not just privately, but before the community that had witnessed their discrimination. This accountability created ripples beyond their family, setting precedent for LGBTQ+ financial discrimination cases nationwide. True transformation isn't measured solely by legal victories. However, its deeper evidence appeared in the changed relationships and redirected resources that followed. The case revealed an essential truth: genuine justice isn't about punishment, but restoration, restoring dignity, opportunity, and the possibility of reconciliation based on truth rather than deception. The financial settlement provided Ethan more than monetary restitution. It granted him freedom to build a future unconstrained by discrimination. With his student loans paid off and financial security for medical school, he and Alex established the Carter Rivera LGBTQ+ Education Fund. Their mission was deceptively simple: ensure no young person would face educational discrimination because of who they loved. The fund's first recipient was Jamie, a transgender teenager from a conservative rural family whose parents had withdrawn college support after discovering hormone therapy prescriptions. When Jamie received the scholarship notification, tears streamed down their face. "I thought my future was over," they confessed during the award ceremony. "Now I know it's just beginning." More profound than the scholarship's financial impact was its community influence. Springfield, Missouri, previously known for its conservative stance on LGBTQ+ issues, now hosted the region's first dedicated youth support program. Local teachers began requesting sensitivity training. Parents of LGBTQ+ children formed support groups. The ripple effects transformed individual suffering into community healing. Patricia Carter's journey toward reconciliation began tentatively with a PFLAG meeting she attended alone, sitting in the back row. Witnessing other parents share similar fears, yet choose love over doctrine, created hairline fractures in her certainty. Each meeting she moved closer to the front, eventually sharing her own story not as justification, but as cautionary tale. "I lost my brother to rejection before I rejected my son," she told the group one evening. "I nearly perpetuated the same cycle of pain by choosing doctrine over love." Robert's evolution progressed more slowly. His religious identity had been so intertwined with rigid interpretation that change required complete reassessment of his faith. The business consequences of his discrimination, clients withdrawing, colleagues distancing, provided practical motivation where moral arguments had failed. His first step toward reconciliation was attending family therapy, sitting stiffly in the counselor's office without making eye contact with Ethan. "I don't understand your choices," he admitted during their third session, "but I'm trying to understand that not understanding isn't justification for cruelty." Madison's transformation was perhaps the most complete. She transferred from Northwestern's sorority scene to focused pre-med studies, discovering genuine passion for medicine beyond parental expectations. She became a campus LGBTQ+ ally, organizing healthcare equity workshops, and challenging heteronormative assumptions in medical curriculum. The twin bond, once damaged by silence, rebuilt through shared purpose rather than shared DNA. Graduation day arrived beneath perfect May skies. Northwestern's campus bloomed with promise as Ethan crossed the stage, summa cum laude honors adorning his academic regalia. Madison cheered from the graduates section, while Alex beamed from reserved seating. Most surprising were the two figures seated awkwardly in the back row, Robert and Patricia Carter, their presence a gesture both tentative and profound. The post-ceremony gathering held multiple revelations. Ethan received the university's Human Rights Award for establishing the Education Fund. Madison announced her acceptance to Northwestern's medical school, with plans to specialize in LGBTQ+ healthcare. And Alex, kneeling suddenly amidst camera flashes, presented Ethan with a simple platinum band in question that needed no elaboration. 5 years later, Dr. Ethan Carter's pediatric practice specialized in LGBTQ+ youth healthcare, creating a safe haven where young people receive medical care without judgment. His waiting room walls displayed artwork from grateful patients alongside a framed copy of the original trust document that had catalyzed his journey, a reminder that justice sometimes arrives through unexpected channels. The annual Carter Thanksgiving tradition evolved to include Madison and her husband, their young children, and even Robert and Patricia, their attendance still sometimes awkward, but increasingly genuine. Alex, now a prominent civil rights attorney, specialized in cases protecting LGBTQ+ youth from family discrimination. The table that once excluded Ethan now expanded to welcome chosen and biological family equally. Springfield, Missouri transformed gradually from a community divided by Ethan's case into a model for LGBTQ+ acceptance in rural America. The church that once hosted conversion therapy sessions now ran support groups for parents learning to embrace their LGBTQ+ children. Robert occasionally attended these meetings, his testimony about the cost of rejection resonating deeply with fathers struggling with similar conflicts. Perhaps most meaningful was Ethan's mentorship of young LGBTQ+ people facing family rejection. Each week, his office hosted support groups where teenagers found understanding from someone who had navigated the same painful terrain and emerged whole. Their stories of parents who withdrew love as conditional privilege, of siblings who remained silent in the face of injustice, echoed his own experience while writing new, more hopeful endings. Sometimes the family that rejects you today can become the family that celebrates you tomorrow. Ethan often told these groups, but only if you refuse to reject yourself. Your identity isn't negotiable, and authentic love never requires you to become someone else to receive it. The journey from rejection to redemption rarely follows a straight line. For Ethan Carter, justice arrived not through vengeance, but through truth that compelled accountability. Reconciliation came not through forgetting, but through acknowledging harm and choosing different paths forward. The family transformed not by erasing differences, but by expanding their understanding of love beyond conditional acceptance. What painful truth have you been avoiding in your own life? Could confronting it with courage lead to unexpected healing? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If Ethan's journey resonated with you, follow Heart Stories for more narratives that reveal how courage and authenticity can transform not just individual lives, but entire communities.